Well, Turkish troops are building up at the border with Syria ahead of a possible offensive against Syrian Kurdish fighters. Military vehicles have been arriving at the border, and a Turkish presidential aide said they would cross into Syria shortly. This follows the withdrawal of US troops from Kurdish-controlled northern Syria. Turkish considers Kurdish fighters terrorists. It wants to create a safe zone and resettle millions of refugees there. Critics accuse the US of abandoning an ally who fought against the so-called Islamic State. They fear the withdrawal could cause more instability in the region. And for more on this, I'm now joined by our Turkey correspondent, Julia Hahn in Istanbul. Julia, do we know when this offensive in Syria is supposed to start?
Well, it seems there's some last-minute diplomacy going on right now. Phone calls have been exchanged again between Washington and Ankara and Moscow, so we might see some developments there. But according to Turkish officials and the tenor of the media reporting here all day, it seems like this operation could start at any moment now, possibly within the next 24 hours. The Turkish Defense Ministry says the preparations are continuing, but the troops are ready. So it seems they are waiting for green light now, which would probably come from President Erdogan himself. He just returned from a foreign trip today, and he's also the commander-in-chief of the Turkish armed forces. The Turkish government also says it would inform all relevant countries, including the Syrian regime, Bashar al-Assad, about this operation. So this might also have an impact on the time frame.
And how is this imminent offensive being looked at inside Turkey? How are the media covering it there?
Well, broadcast and print media here are dominated by pro-government outlets, and their reporting has been very supportive of this operation, patriotic, even nationalist. I've brought you one example here. That's a daily newspaper, and the headline says, "The Turkish nation stands united wholeheartedly behind the Turkish army." And it goes on saying that women and men, young and old, are sending a message to the world that they will fight the terrorism threat once and for all. But not all outlets are overwhelmingly pro-government. There is, for example, another one I've brought you. This it's a more critical newspaper, and their headline says, "At the end of the road, there is darkness." They are not openly criticizing this operation, but they're talking about the risks and the many unanswered questions.
And the area where Erdogan wants to install what he calls the safe zones for Syrian refugees are now mainly controlled by Kurds. What would an invasion mean for the Kurdish people there?
Well, probably difficult times. Aid organizations are warning that a Turkish incursion could immediately displace about 200,000 people, probably within Syria, not to cross the Turkish border. And this is also because the Kurdish fighters there are determined to defend the territory against the potential Turkish assault. They have said there should be 3 days of general mobilization, so they call on civilians to defend the area in eastern and northern Syria against the Turkish army. So the situation on the ground could potentially be very complicated and messy, to say the least.
What about the other big players in the region, like Iran and Russia? What have they been saying to Turkey's invasion plans?
Well, we have a reaction now by Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria. The foreign ministry there says, and I'm quoting them, "They are determined to thwart Turkish aggression by all legitimate means." So no good news there. They're probably also coordinating their reaction with Russia and Iran, both allies of Bashar al-Assad. The Iranian president has been very clear about this. He says Turkey is right to worry about border security, but he also urged Ankara to show restraint and not to go ahead with a military action in northern Syria.
Julia Hahn reporting for us in Istanbul. Thank you very much.